Hey guys, welcome back to this week's poll here on Comic Relief Cast. We are your host Jake.
And I'm Josh. Hey Jake, got a quick question for you.
What's that?
Are you ready for this?
Dun, 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 dun,
What
dun.
are we reading? It really doesn't go with that beat.
No, but it kind of went a little Mission Impossible. That was my fault.
Yeah.
But, all right, guys. Well, welcome back. Here, as we give you early reviews every week on the new comics dropping, and we want to make sure that you are informed buyers on the issues that are coming out that are big, that you go, I don't know if I want to pick this up. How's it playing out? We're here to tell you so you can either save or spend your money wisely. And this week we are going over Life of Captain Marvel #5, Infinity Wars #6, Infinity Wars #1, Fallen Guardian, Best Defense #1, The Defenders, Seasons Beatings #1, Aquaman #43, Spider-Geddon #5, Hardcore #1, Teen Titans 25, and Extermination #5, as well as Freedom Fighters #1. And you guys can, if you're interested in any of these specifically, you can scroll through at any time. You see that cover pop up on the screen. We'll be talking about that issue. But if you guys want to just let this play out, listen to our sultry voices, just caress your ears, you can do that too. But we are starting right off with Life of Captain Marvel #5, written by Margaret Stohl, and I forget who the artist is, Josh.
All right, does it really matter?
Carlos Pacheco, sorry.
Yeah. So this is a conclusion of the event of the miniseries of Life of Captain Marvel.
That was postponed at least a month.
Yeah, that is also a serious retcon to a character that is slowly becoming a household name.
Yeah, right in time for a movie who's going to be coming out here.
Oh yeah, so it makes you kind of wonder what they're going to do with the movie. A lot of times Marvel tries to make their comics work, so when they do it in a movie, then they can go, oh, it's comic book accurate stuff.
Right, it makes me wonder how much the writer of this series, like Margaret Stohl, is in the know of what happens in the movie. But
yeah.
Anyways, this is the conclusion to, as you said, Life of Captain Marvel, 5-issue series. This last issue got delayed at least 1 month, so it's been probably about 2 months since the last issue came out. And yeah, they have done a serious rewrite on her origins, as her mother was actually a Kree the whole time, and she's had Kree blood in her the whole time, and she had her powers awakened, not given to her by Marvel and shit like that.
Von Rogg deal.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I'm gonna say it off the bat. I did not enjoy this miniseries. I enjoyed the first 2 issues, thinking, okay, I can get into this. But they really took the conflict that they were setting up, very sparsely throughout those first couple issues, and it took center stage. And everything you got that was the family dynamics, the things that I thought worked in this book, were completely sidelined for this action story that, to me, I thought was choppy. It was a mess. This issue felt like it had been edited up quite a bit.
Yeah, it was a real big letdown. But I'm not a huge fan of Margaret Stohl on Captain Marvel. It's part of the reason why I stopped getting Captain Marvel in my personal collection. But by the first 2 issues of this miniseries, I was kind of like, there's half of it that I really enjoyed and half of it that I didn't. And then the part that I didn't is what ended up taking over halfway through the series. And then this is all about that. And it's kind of a letdown. It's definitely
a big letdown.
It's a big letdown, really. And there's only probably 1 good scene in this whole book. The rest of it's just constantly reminding you that they've retconned this character, and it's really disappointing in that sense.
Yeah, and it doesn't flow well at all. I mean, it's doing what we see in the trailer for Captain Marvel. It's flashing back and forth between her days as a fighter pilot and then what's going on now, and there's no congruency. There's no flow to it. There's no reason or rhyme to it. And then they completely drop threads, like with her brother who was in a wheelchair, who had been hospitalized. We find out he's half Kree too. Nothing ever manifests from him. He's still paralyzed as far as I know at the end of the book. It was something they seemed to be hinting at or setting up in the last issue, that maybe he'd be coming out of his paralysis or his wheelchair or something. But no, this is all kind of just in lieu to make a strong female character, 2 strong female characters now, with her mother, and of course Carol's real name being Kar-El. And I go, you guys need to be really careful about copyright infringement with the Superman last names with Kal-El and stuff like that, especially since it's already Carol Danvers and Kara Danvers. You're really, really treading on some dangerous territory with copyright.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so I don't know, Josh. What would you grade this book?
At this book, solo by itself, I give this book about like a 1.5. Aqua Thors. That's our grading scale. Aqua Thors for the new Aquaman book, and as the whole lump sum of a mini series, I'm going to probably give it 2.35.
Okay, for me, this is This issue itself is 1.3 Aqua Bros, and the whole series itself, I'm going to give 1.8 Aqua Bros. Just
Aqua Bros?
Or Aqua Thors, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yep. It's the same difference.
It's very
same
close.
difference.
All right, and also we did want to say that a lot of the solo titles coming out from Marvel this week do have a banner across it. They don't have the title on it. It just says, Stan Lee gives his the date of his birth and the date of his death. So it's an honor to Stan Lee. So if you guys are looking to pick up, just something to honor Stan Lee and the legacy he left behind in Marvel, I think almost every solo issue out this week has a Stan Lee banner on
Oh, yeah.
cover.
And then also, like, the first 2 pages are completely black. And then you start off with a picture of Stan Lee by Phil Noto.
Is it Phil? I thought it was Ben Oliver.
No, it's Phil Noto.
Okay.
Phil Noto. It's a beautiful picture. Every Marvel book that has that banner on it also has that in there, too.
Right. All right, moving on to Infinity Wars number 6. It is finally tying up this whole Infinity Wars, Infinity Warps thing. And this one, I gotta say, I was confused as hell reading this book. Everything going on with Adam Warlock, what's going on with Gamora, what's going on with the Infinity Warps. It's funny. Secret Wars was a way to, it was basically Marvel's Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's going to destroy the multiverse, just make it one single Earth, one universe, and do away with all the Ultimates universe and stuff like that. This one seems to be creating another one. It just seems like you can't go an event without creating or destroying an entire universe, and that's getting a little old. But this one, I had a hard time following this book.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing. Which this issue reminded me a lot of Infinity Countdown, the series that was leading up to this. That series to me was very kind of confusing, a little all over the place, very unorganized. This story is supposed to be this issue is supposed to be the end of the event, and to me it felt it's supposed to be the end of the event, and it felt it was weird. It felt very long. It felt a little disorganized, and it was it was hard to understand at times.
Extremely
but
convoluted.
at the same time felt very rushed. Like it was like, okay, so we got to put a bow on this and call it done.
Well, then the thing is too with that, there's also going to be like a epilogue issue called like Infinity. I think that they're going to be teasing out at the end of this book.
Yeah,
it's next the end and a beginning. Next Coda plus it's Infinity. So Marvel again, same thing with their events. They can never just tie it up at the end of the issue. It's got to have some kind of epilogue issue that you got to put in there to tie it all up. But no, what was going on with me though is Loki goes to another universe very quickly, just renders every other stone inert, and now you just have the 6 original Infinity Stones. I don't know what that was all about, but then we're going to save the Infinity Warps universe. We don't know what Gamora actually killed Thanos. Was it Gamora or Requiem, as if they're 2 different entities now? They didn't seem to hint or allude to that at all. If they did, I missed it or I don't remember it. But there's just a lot of stuff in here that just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, like I said, it's a little all over the place.
Really all over the place.
Yeah, there's some stuff that it makes sense. I don't want to go too much into it without spoiling it. That I kind of makes sense. Just to me, it's a very simple, not very simple, but it's just a cheap way of ending things.
It is, and every time they introduce Adam Warlock into a series like this, he is not a character. To me, he's a walking Deus Ex Machina. Like, it's just what he is. He's just there to further the plot along and then make sure everything is going to end and settle out the way it is. I mean, how many times has Adam Warlock come into an Infinity title and had to just quell everything? And I'm just getting kind of tired of it. It's kind of boring. It's formulaic. It's not something that I found interesting in any way. I thought the whole Gamora angle they were setting up was a really interesting and new, fresh take, and that completely took a backseat by the end of this event. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and give this one issue of 2.2 Aqua Thors and the entire series itself, Infinity Wars, just issues 1 through 6, not counting Countdown or any peripheral tie-ins, just the main 6 issues. I'm going to give it a 2.6 Aqua Thors, just not feeling it.
On this issue, I'm going to give it a 2.6. For the event itself, I'm going to go a little bit higher to like 2.75. There was more moments in this series where I was really surprised. I was actually kind of shocked because this was going to be the series where I was going to be like, okay, this is Jerry Duggan's last hope for me. And then the first 4 issues were really solid.
Started off with a bang.
And then 5 started falling off a little bit for me, and then this one just really falls off.
Yeah, it fizzles out.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the very next thing that's in the Infinity Wars. It's Infinity Wars Fallen Guardian #1, and this was written and illustrated.
It was written by Jerry Duggan,
and the artist was Andy McDonald. And so what this is, Fallen Guardian, it feels like Marvel trying to keep in line or be in keeping with their cinematic universe. Because what this is the Fallen Guardian. It's very Drax centric, right? It's all to do with Drax. And what's kind of cool about it, one thing I do like about it, is that it actually touches on the original origins of Drax, how he actually came to be, how he's kind of two souls fused in one, which I thought was a cool play on the Infinity War stuff. But we also know that Dave Bautista has no interest in returning for a Guardians 3 because of the whole James Gunn thing. So it's like, it makes me wonder, are they going to kill off Drax in the movies? And if so, did the writers here at Marvel know something that we don't? Are they giving it kind of a heads up? Is this a way to write him out of the comic books and go, okay, it's still comic accurate?
Yeah. Marvel's real bad at doing that. I mean,
it's telegraphing everything.
Oh yeah, like they really go through this whole thing. I mean, with like the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and the X-Men's versus Inhumans, like it's, I mean, down to even like the character posters. We've talked about it a lot, but like usually Marvel has this big old poster, has all their characters on it, and there for a while there was no mutants on that poster.
Yeah. But I have an entire shirt of like the Marvel universe, and there's not a single mutant on it.
Oh yeah, exactly. And this book was actually, I mean, it kind of sucks for the what this book is supposed to be, like with that being said, and then also the fact that we get Infinity Wars #6 and they put this out. It's just another way to sell more books. But at the end of the day, this book was actually kind of fun.
It was a good read. As a solitary issue, kind of barring it from everything else, it's nice to see Drax get a little bit of fleshing out. You know what I mean? Like,
and not the Drax that we see in the movies.
Right.
That's not actually Drax the Destroyer. That's just a weird
he's
rendition.
a walking punchline. But it was a good book. But it doesn't feel like a necessary read for Infinity Wars. It doesn't feel like something that's an absolutely necessary pickup. But if you're interested in the character of Drax, you're interested in the Guardians a little bit themselves, it is kind of a fun little read. It's a good way to pass the time. It's not an offensive thing. It is enjoyable, but it's not also going to blow your hair back. So I'm going to give this one 3.2 Aquathors.
I'm actually at 3 Aquathors.
All right. Moving on to Freedom Fighters, #1 by Robert Venditti and, oh, man, I should have this stuff.
Barrows.
Eddie Barrows. And so what this is Freedom Fighters was a series back in the 60s from DC that they decided to kind of update for the modern era, bring back. So the Freedom Fighters were fighting the Nazis back during World War II, and this is a book about what happens if Hitler and the Third Reich had won World War II and they had taken over America, stuff like that.
For some people who don't read a whole lot of comic books and everything, and don't watch, but they watch a lot of like CW, DC, this is taking place in Earth X.
Okay,
which, if you remember Earth X in the Flash series
Right.
and crossover event, it's when the Nazis have taken over.
Right, but it's also not Green Arrow, as like
it's not
Hitler and
not
stuff
centric
like
with our main DC
right.
characters.
It's just in a universe where Hitler succeeded, he won World War II, and then Germany expanded the empire, basically. And the Freedom Fighters are the resistance group who represent America, trying to take back their country. And it does feel relevant. It does feel a little bit like almost like Watchmen in a way.
It does.
It has a very much has a Watchmen feel, and I really, really dig this book. I like the characters. I think they're fun. I think they're kind of cool Golden Age comic book throwbacks to that stuff. The bad guys being like a Plastic Man ripoff, I think is cool.
Yeah, it was definitely a good issue.
It also reminds me of Project Superpowers too.
It does kind of remind me. That's what I was mostly getting the feel for. Was like Project Superpowers. It's nice to see these kind of characters get back out there. It's nice to see DC not put out another Batman book, but go and actually look through characters that they haven't done in comic books in a while,
right?
And not just keep regurgitating the same characters over and over again.
Right, and they're taking one of my favorite writers right now from DC, Robert Venditti, and putting him on this book. I mean, he's been killing it with Hawkman. He did a great job with Green Lantern.
Barrow's pencils in this is actually really good too.
Yeah, it's actually a really solid book. It's a 12-issue maxi series. That's what they're going to call it. It's a maxi pad series, and so it's not going to hurt your wallet to try and keep up with all 12 issues. This issue itself is not like the greatest jump, bounce board, I should say, to set off this series. It gives you all the necessary information, but it's not going to grab you. But I do think this is just a setup issue, and once you get into issue 2, it's really going to start taking off. At least that's what I hope it's going to do. So I think that might factor in a little bit to my grade, but I'm going to give this one a 3.6 Aquathors.
On this book, I'm actually at 3 Aquathors.
Okay, so I liked it significantly more.
Yeah, well, yeah, you liked it just a little bit more.
Yeah.
You're at 3.4, right?
3.6.
Oh, 3.6. Yeah, but it's a political kind of book. I mean, it doesn't deal with like hardcore political stance, but you're more into political books than I am.
That's true. All right, and moving on to the Defenders, The Best Defense #1, written by Al Ewing, and the art is done by Joe Bennett. So it's the same creative team behind the Immortal Hulk. And if you guys know, the past 2 weeks, you got the 2 issues of Hulk and Namor, and then last week we got Silver Surfer and Doctor Strange, and all those have been leading up into this, which I didn't realize this was just going to be a one-shot, a one and done. So all 5 of these issues basically culminates into just one little mini-series. I gotta say, this is not what I was hoping for. This book is not what I was thinking it was going to be. It's an interesting read. There's a lot of big ideas happening in this book, but there is a lot of back and forth between the 4 different characters. Namor really gets shoved to the side. He has very little to do in this book. It's mainly Silver Surfer and Doctor Strange, and then a little bit of Hulk in there for some muscle. I mean, it is cool to see the original 4 Defenders come back together, and like I said, there are some really cool big ideas, as if like a giant parasite, Nebulon can glob onto a celestial that's older than time, and it's kind of making its way, just killing off worlds and stuff. I mean, that's a cool idea, but the way the breakneck pace of this thing, how fast it switches from one character to the next, it is really hard to keep up.
Yeah, it was a little. This issue was kind of disappointing, but the first thing I was thinking of was the kind of same thing that you said when you saw this one. I was telling you that this is actually the end of this Best Defense thing. It's not that big. It's not that thick to where you've been led, like with all the information that you got from the past 4 issues. You kind of don't understand how they can end it with just this one issue.
Right, and it feels like this was originally planned to be more than one issue. I have to assume, just with how quickly everything happens, how much is thrown at you, it almost felt like this was supposed to be 2, 3, maybe even 4 issues itself. And like everything just got crammed into one. And I don't know what happened, if that was
I mean, it could be the case, because I feel like with the Namor book and the Silver Surfer book, I feel like those were supposed to be a lot more issues than just that one issue. I feel like this was probably supposed to be a little bit bigger series. They probably condensed it down because there wasn't
everything
enough
that
hype
happened
on
in
it.
Silver Surfer. I gotta say, Silver Surfer, after having read this, Silver Surfer is the absolute most needless read out of all 4 of the tie-ins.
Oh yeah,
all the stuff that happened in that book, nothing factors into this at all. You could have not done that Silver Surfer, and you would have just had him introduced here, and nothing would have changed. No information.
There's only
needed.
one aspect that happens in Silver Surfer,
and it's literally the very end.
And it's very and the one aspect of where he kind of contributes to this like Defenders team, it's all from like the end of the end of Namor. Like that's
right,
like the only thing where he really does to kind of benefit at first.
Yeah, and I will say there's one part that I think is super cool. It's super cheesy. It's fun. Like I said, there's a lot of big ideas, and it's very smartly written, but it's also intertwined with really goofy elements too. So it's tonally a little off. It's a little weird, but I mean I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as I was hoping to like it. I didn't like it the way I thought I was going to with the build up from the 4 previous issues.
Yeah. Well, and also, the one thing I was worried about when we were when this series was announced was that Al Ewing, we love his Immortal Hulk run, and his Immortal Hulk issue of this was great. One thing though about Al Ewing that I've realized is that when it comes to big ideas, like when it comes to team up books or an event, he's a little lackluster. Like he found his niche. His niche is Immortal Hulk.
He wrote the Ultimates too, and that book got a lot of praise.
Really?
That was a team.
I think he did an Avengers event that was not that good. I can't remember what it was.
Well, either way, this book is also supposed to lead into the next Immortal Hulk issue, the Invaders #1, and the Guardians of the Galaxy #1 that are coming out. So you might be able to follow some of these characters, and some of this might carry over into that stuff. So I'd say maybe be on the lookout for that. There are some cool elements in this book, but overall, it doesn't feel like the payoff I was hoping it would. So for that, I'm going to give this one 2.8 Aquathors.
I'm actually at 2.95 Aquathors.
All right, moving on to Season's Beatings. If you guys see, it's got the Deadpool on there, and our thumbnail, Deadpool as well. It's written by Jason Latour, and it's got a ton of different artists on it. And I got to say, this book, when Jason Latour is able to write Deadpool, this felt like an audition to write a Deadpool book, because he nails Deadpool in this. I have not ever laughed out loud reading Deadpool the way I have in here. Now, it is interspersed with like some small little short vignette stories. You know, one with little Doctor Doom and Squirrel Girl, one with the X-Force, one with Spider-Man. I can't, whoever else it is. Oh, yeah, Kate Bishop. You know, it's a bunch of different stories, but Deadpool kind of narrates it in between, and that is what I live for in this book. Like, that's what I was reading. I was like, okay, I'm going to get through this because I want to get to the next Deadpool part, you know? It is a fun little holiday book. It's okay. You know, all around it's okay, but Jason Latour on Deadpool was the absolute highlight, and I'm going, I would read Deadpool if Jason Latour were writing it.
And Jason Latour definitely knows how to write for Deadpool, and that's what is announced in this, like you can tell in this book. I will say that this is probably one of the better holiday books, definitely the best holiday book so far this year from the two big guys. I actually liked it better than the Hellboy Winter Special.
Okay.
But it's also probably the better holiday one that I've read in a while. There a lot of times with the holiday ones, like, you kind of feel a little like cheated out a little bit. This was a good one. It was a good read. It was fun. But like the little short stories that's in it, like Jason Latour is really good at writing for Deadpool, but like I could have done without some of the little short stories.
Yeah, I could have done without Squirrel Girl and Doctor Doom.
Yeah, that one, and then the
Kate
West Coast
Bishop
Avengers
one.
Yeah, the Spider-Man one was kind of cool. I like that one.
Yeah,
But
I
I mean, from the guy who's known for creating and writing Spider-Gwen.
Right.
So like,
The
of course,
X-Force
he's gonna know
stuff-
how to write Spider-Man.
The X-Force stuff was my favorite stuff. That was, I think, the best part. And the fact that Jason Latour got so meta, he was writing, you know, basically about himself in this book.
Yeah.
And, you know, throwing some shade at himself. I loved that. I thought that was what was worth the pickup for me.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm going to give this one, because some of the short stories I didn't care for were a little dull, but the Deadpool parts were just so good. I'm going to give it 3 Aquathors.
See, I'm giving it 3.5 Aquathors.
Okay, so you liked it a lot more.
Well, I like Deadpool, and when Deadpool's done right, then I enjoy it a little bit more.
Okay, and I read Aquaman issue 43. It's a new creative team behind it, which is why I'm reviewing it. It's Kelly Sue DeConnick writing it and Robson Roca on the pencils, and I gotta say, there's nothing new here. There's nothing that they're offering to Aquaman to make him more interesting, to make him anything. You know, it doesn't even feel like they're really trying to get him to line up with the portrayal of the movie version. This is basically just following the Drowned Earth stuff, and it's like, what if we gave Aquaman amnesia? It's soap opera shit. You know, I mean, the only original idea she adds in here is the idea of the ocean kind of being sentient and how it rules the earth and how it creates the borders that divide country that man think that they govern over, but really the ocean is, you know, what kind of shaped everything. So bow down. You know, that's the only thing interesting out of this book. But Aquaman, he's stranded on this island. He meets a bunch of weirdos who've been stranded on this island with him. He doesn't remember his name, doesn't know where he came from. You know, there's talk about this woman who betrayed the sea. Now her daughter is, you know, Defiance, blah, blah, blah. It's not interesting, and it's unfortunate because I really enjoyed Dan Abnett's run on Aquaman up until this point, and I was very nervous about somebody else taking it over. But with that, Aquaman, issue 43, I'm giving it 2.4 Aquathors, which is where also we got our Aquathor rating system, because there's a panel in here that dude is literally holding a hammer. I go, come on, can we rip off Thor anymore?
Yeah, he looked like Thor.
Yeah.
Hey, Jake, I have a quick question though.
What's that?
And it's not what are we reading.
Okay.
Okay, but the question is, who's your favorite rapper?
Chimichanga-ish Gambino.
Okay, guys, come say that phrase, and you get 20% off any book that's not on your pool.
You can say it a little louder, yes.
I like to say it sensual.
Chimichanga-ish Gambino. That is the secret code phrase. 20% off any book.
I read Spider-Geddon number 5. Oh God! See, now I'm in this like thing where I can't remember.
Well, it's
written by Christoph Gage, and the pencils are done by a lot of different people. But I'm just gonna go ahead and say
Mike Hawthorne.
Oh no.
Jorge
Molino, and
okay.
Yeah, there's a list of them. Okay, so this is the conclusion of the Spider-Geddon thing. Spider-Geddon really fell off, and with this issue, it fell off even more. There's only one cool thing that actually happens in this book, and other than that, the event's very lackluster. And like Infinity Wars, It's like they try to end it all and just put a bow on it and just go, here we go, done. They came up with the easiest way to get out of this, and I was really hoping that there would be this huge big change event with the whole spider totems with this, that they would kind of do away with it, because that's where it kind of seemed like they were going with in the first couple of issues. And it's spoilers, it's not that. They just literally, it's just they take a little the easiest way to get out of it, and they put a bow on it, and they go, okay, this is this event. It's obvious that they're only putting this book out for two reasons, and that is to ride on the coattails of Spider-Verse, the comic book series, the last event, and then also ride on the coattails of the idea of Spider-Verse coming out in theaters.
Yeah, it's funny how it ties up the weekend after, or the week after it premieres in theaters.
Right, exactly. And I mean, there's only probably one cool thing that kind of happens in this book. Other than that, it was a very pointless and forgettable event, and I could have gone without reading it. With that being said, I'm going to give this book, this issue itself, I'm going to go to about 1.75 Aquathors. For the event itself, I'm only going to go, 1.75.
Okay, so it is in keeping with the entire event.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Hardcore #1 by Andy Diggle and Alessandro Vitti. It is the new issue 1 from Skybound and Image. And basically what it is, it's actually a really cool book. I'm going to say it right now. This is one of my favorite reads of the week so far.
It's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I was really surprised because I didn't think I was going to really care that much for it.
I didn't either. And it's about this guy who works for the government, and what they can do is they can actually hijack the nervous system of somebody, and cognitive abilities and nervous system of somebody from far away, like a sharpshooter implant.
A drone.
Exactly, and they control him like a drone. And there's a guy, who's wearing this almost like VR kind of stuff, and he's controlling this guy, and it's how they infiltrate, cartel or whoever, and get their information. And this guy who they hijack, he's also disposable, so there's really no problem. There's no qualms with anybody, no moral or ethical problems there. And what happens is this guy who is doing this, he's the main character. He interacts with this guy one of the guys who actually created the technology. I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're sounding a lot like me when I try to sum up a book.
He created the technology, but he was out of the government, pushed him out. So this guy wants revenge. But and then the whole MacGuffin type deal is that this implant, it's biodegradable and it dissolves in 72 hours. And if you're still kind of attached to this guy's nervous system, you go brain dead, have an aneurysm, and it kills you too. So it's a race against the clock kind of book, and it's got political intrigue. It's got some cool sci-fi elements to it. It's a really cool book. I'd say definitely pick this up if you get a chance to see this on your guys' racks at wherever you guys get your comics from. If you've got the chance and the change to take a chance on an issue 1 from Image, this is definitely one I'd pick it up, because it's going to be a limited series, because the story can only go so far because of the race against the clock nature.
Yeah, it feels like it's a book that could easily become a movie.
Yeah.
You could do a movie, and it would be a cool movie. This book was actually, like I said, I didn't think I was going to like it, and then I read it, and I really enjoyed it. It's a fun premise, and it's a really cool premise, and then there's a part where they explain how it works.
Yeah,
and
I loved it.
And it's very smart how this book is written. The pencils are done pretty good in it. There's some I have some problems with some panels, but for the most part, I mean, they were good.
Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, I like this series. This book, this issue 1, and the good part about it, it's an issue 1 that only costs $3.99. Normally with the big titles, they usually go up to about $4.99.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give Hardcore #1, I'm going to give it 3.8 Aquathors. I really liked it.
Yeah, I'm actually at 3.8 as well.
All right. Moving on to Teen Titans #25 by Adam Glass and Robson Roca. And the reason we're going over this one is because this is the origin of Crush. She's a new character who's been introduced in the Teen Titans book, and we still don't know really, where she came from, who she is. So this book decides that it's going to tell her origin story. And in keeping with the rest of the Teen Titans books, it's really well done. It's a well-written book. At first I thought, okay, Crush, she's generic. There's backstory they're giving her is kind of generic, but what I really like is they kind of, the way she tells it and what we're seeing are almost two different iterations at the very beginning when they first find her as a baby and all this stuff. And I thought, this is so interesting. It's cute and it's interesting to read, because it's like basically her parents are like druggies, and she's like, oh, but they're really caring people. They love me, blah blah blah. But
it was like she was telling the story as if she was Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And it was Jonathan and Martha Kent that found her.
Exactly.
But really, it was like
two druggy parents.
Two druggies that were high on Molly at the time when they found her.
Yeah. and they were at like Burning Man or some kind of festival that when they found her. I thought that was kind of cool.
Coachella or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a buddy book, so it's Jin and Crush kind of going out on the town, and she's looking for something that's really important to her that she kind of left behind, and it's Jin kind of trying to get to know, and she's prying a little bit, and you can see their friendship starting to get deeper and
to blossom. Yeah.
Right, yeah, blossom. That's a good word for it, and I really like it. And there's some really good jokes in here. There's some really good pop culture references. I think will play for a really good laugh. But overall, what this book is really excelling at is just introducing the audience to this character and getting to know her better, not just being some kind of one-note, muscle-bound, I hate everybody character, but there's some depth to her, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, it's I really like her origin, because her origin, she's a superhero, but her origin is not it's not one of the big two. It's not my parents were killed in front of me, and it's not that I lived in a happy family.
Right.
It's not one of those two. It's kind of like she was from a dysfunctional family, and she still managed to become. So it was just a really good origin story. Felt a little original with a nice, kind of like a twist on a classic origin.
Right.
It had a lot of heartfelt moments in it. This would easily have to be my favorite read of tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Teen Titans run. This book was great. I was kind of worried the same thing that you were saying, I was thinking like, okay, this is going to be like a one-note book where it's just going to be the same things that we've heard before about the brooding muscle of the team. And this was a good anniversary issue. Because Exercise anniversary issue, it is a lot thicker than what a normal comic is.
Book.
And it's $4.99 because of that.
But I think it's well
worth it. It's well worth it. And then at the end, you do get a little story about
I was to say Roundhouse.
About Roundhouse. Yeah. What happened to Roundhouse when he got shot up into space?
Right, and everyone thought he blew up and he died. It kind of tells how
Which is another heartfelt story.
Right, it's another well done piece of the story. It's because it's something we've all been wondering. How did Roundhouse get back? We all thought he died. What happened?
Some people was hoping that he would stay dead.
Yeah, and they do a good job. They gloss over some parts of it very quickly for me when they try and like explain the science behind it. But I roll with the punches a little bit. But no, it was good, and I'm still kind of. The only thing with Roundhouse is I'm still unclear as to what his powers are, what he can do, what is the limitations, and how do you define his power set. I'm still unclear about that because he does some wacky stuff in this.
Oh yeah, he's able to do some stuff that I didn't quite understand how he was able to do. That is the one thing I will say is it's really confusing about Roundhouse.
Yeah, and he still reminds me of one of the characters I remember from Legion of Superheroes. The Legion of Superheroes from the animated Justice League cartoon. It was like Brainiac 5 and like some blue little kid who looks like Chuck. I don't know if he's taken from that, but I think his name might have been Roundhouse or something too. So
it was something similar to that because
Anyways.
in the actual comic books he gets with Duplicate Girl.
Okay, yeah. So Duplicate.
Yeah, Duplicate.
That's from. Anyway, all right. So Teen Titans issue 25. I'm gonna give this book 3.4. Aquathors.
I'm at 4.2 Aquathors.
Oh wow, okay. All right.
Yeah, I really liked it. I mean, it was definitely my favorite read tonight.
All right, and moving on to our last book of the night, it's Extermination number 5, and it is written by Ed Brisson, and the artist is Pepe Larraz. Pepe. And I gotta say,
Pepe.
we did not think much or highly of Extermination when they first announced it. I thought, okay, this is gonna be whatever. When they introduced Ahab, I was like, great.
For me, it just felt like a repeat X-Men event.
Right, and I gotta say though, I actually enjoyed this series as a whole. I enjoyed the overall thing a lot more than I thought I was going to, and a lot of it is because they delivered on their promise. The promise to send the original 5 X-Men back in time. And the way they did it, the way things kind of played out in this book, I really enjoyed it. I actually thought, okay, this is cool. As much as I don't really care for Ahab, I don't like the idea of anybody can become a Hound through this mind control shit. Didn't care. This book, it worked for me, and it's not going to work for everybody, and I acknowledge that. I will say the first few issues I thought were very unoriginal, but for some reason, there's something about this book that it piqued my interest, and it got me on board, and I can't really pinpoint one way or the other why that is, but it worked really well for me, and I have to say Pepe Larraz's art does not hurt.
Yeah, Pepe's art is great. For me, when I was reading, I'd say almost the whole event, I was not into it because it felt like I've read this shit before. It's like, and X-Men is notorious at doing that. It's because you can only do so much, and they've already done everything. Yeah. So at some point, you're going to end up having to do this stuff. And it's weird because I was thinking the same thing. I read it, and I get about halfway through this book, and then because I was like, why am I reading this? I really don't want to read this. I get about halfway through, and then I start actually kind of liking it. There's something about them delivering on their like what you said, delivering on their promise, and seeing that's really
it's refreshing.
It's refreshing. It's nice. Part of me was a little fearful that they wouldn't do it, but it was nice. Granted, it's been time. I mean, like, come on, all new X-Men. When did that happen?
I was about to say, you guys think
like
that was back when Bendis wrote the book. I want to say it was back in probably 2011. So it's been a long time.
It was back there in the AVX. So I think I was like 23, 24. So it's been a while. But I think I don't want to spoil anything.
No, don't.
But I'm not going to spoil anything. But I will say this. If you're a retailer, you'll understand why it kind of makes me hate this book, because I feel like if I wasn't a retailer, I would probably be more excited about the ending of this book.
I'm actually very excited about the ending.
I'm still excited about it, but I feel like I wish that I would have had the moment that a lot of our customers are going to get when they read this and they see that end.
Oh, because you flipped to the back.
Well, no, not that I flipped through the back. It's just we have to do orders of stuff for 2 months in advance, so we already know some stuff of what's going to happen.
Somehow I'm able to purge that from my mind. Because
see, I don't. I go through all the covers, I look and see what looks good, and I read the synopsis, and I already know what's going to happen. So that's the one thing that does suck is like, I envy my customers that get to come in tomorrow that's going to pick up this book and they get to go home, read this, and then they get to get super pumped and excited at the end of this. And I was like, yeah, I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, like, I somehow am able to compartmentalize that information when I'm reading these books. But what sold this book for me was this issue had a really good character interaction. When I got to see the X-Men interacting with each other, the way they talk to each other, the way the dynamics work out between one another, when you get to see young Bobby and older Bobby talking, or young Jean and older Jean.
I did like that moment.
Stuff like that I think is good. Young Warren and older Warren. And then I actually don't mind Kid Cable. I know that there's a little bit of uproar about killing off Cable, but at the same time, he's a time traveler, so never know if he's actually dead. But Kid Cable, I'm coming around on him slowly. Like this book, it didn't sell me completely, but I'm starting to come around on him. And also, this book doesn't hurt the fact that it has a great Mark Brooks cover. Mark Brooks did a few covers this week, and I would recommend picking all of them up. But this book, this in particular, looks great, and so does Jean. Jean looks great on that cover.
Yeah, it's a good cover, and you can quit staring at it so hard.
No, I'm not going
to. No, but all in all, like the event itself, I mean, it's really rough because like I really did not enjoy this event all that much. But the end of this, like the half of this book, was just really nice. I mean, the character interactions that you were speaking of, and then even down to the way that the original X-Men team is talking to each other at the end, the 5 X-Men members, like
kind of what they have to do
and what they have to do and everything. It just kind of like, it's like you haven't had that kind of X-Men interaction in a while, even with them being in this present time. It's definitely like you definitely realize like them being in this time period has corrupted these characters in some way.
Right.
Yeah.
And someone who read all of Gold, read all of Blue, who's read pretty much everything X-Men that's come out lately. This felt like a little bit more how I felt when Bendis first started the all-new X-Men stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really enjoyed that. So with that, I'm going to say that this issue I'm going to give 3.8 Aquathors, and as a series, the only thing that's really bringing it down is the unoriginality of mind control shit. I can't stand that when Ahab comes in, makes everybody a hound, and it's just so convenient for the plot. I hate that, so that's going to dock it a few points for me. But as a whole, I'd say the series gets a solid 3.45 Aquathors from me.
I'm at 3.5 for this issue. For the series itself, to me, one, like what you said about that, but also the fact that it just kind of, there for a minute, it felt like it was just going to be regurgitated shit. X-Men folklore. Just, I'm going to have to give it 3. It was a solid event, but if I never heard the event, this kind of event before, I probably would have liked it more.
It's what feels like lasting repercussions that the X-Men Blue team is finally back in their own time, and the way it ends, I gotta say, If it sticks that way, I'm happy with Marvel for sticking with it. So guys, that is all we've got for you this week. Of course, there's plenty of stuff that we still have yet to read that we didn't go over. So if there's any other books you guys are looking forward to talking about or looking forward to reading, let us know in the comments below, because we will have read them hopefully by then, and we can talk with you in the comments and chat a little bit about there, because I know I still have to read Captain America, Punisher, Thor, Shuri, and what else?
Catwoman,
Batman. Yeah, exactly.
Justice League.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that came out.
Uncanny X-Men.
Okay, yes. Okay, so there's a lot. But anyways,
Marvel
guys.
Knights.
Yes.
Killmonger.
Okay, thank you. So, guys, go ahead and like
Black
this.
Panther versus Deadpool.
Like this video. Share it with your nerd reading or your comic book reading friends if they like this kind of stuff. Make sure to let them know. Tag them in here if you can. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts on any of these books. Did we sway you one way or the other? And of
Hellboy
course,
and BPRD, 1956.
I'm gonna twist your nipples. And then subscribe to the channel, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you listened this far, thanks for putting up with Josh's bullshit antics. And we will see you guys next Tuesday for another early review.
Lucifer #3.